really enjoyed, so I definitely have some recommendations here for you. I read a lot of fantasy books. I read like a whole last series, so we are going to go through all of them today. Please remember to subscribe and like and comment. It really helps my channel out. But before further ado, let's jump right into it. We will start with the series that I read in October, and I read the Horseman series. This is the first book. This is like a romantasy series. I bought it at the start of the year and I finally picked it up because Pestilence was on my summer TBR, which I kind of like rolled over into the autumn. I actually bought all 4 books at once, which is very risky, but thankfully I loved the series. So yeah, the series obviously follows the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse who come to Earth in with the intention of ending the world. This series, by the way, is by Laura Thalassa, and the first book is Pestilence. Pestilence, 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 pestilence. And so I'll read you the back of this book so then you can kind of get like the gist of the series. But it says, when Pestilence, the first of the horsemen, comes for Sarah Bernstown, one thing is certain: everyone she knows and loves is marked for death. Unless, of course, the angelic-looking horseman is stopped, which is exactly what Sarah has in mind when she shoots the unholy beast off his steed. Too bad no one told her Pestilence can't be killed. Alive and furious, the horseman takes Sarah prisoner, determined to make her suffer for impeding his mission. Despite her pleas, nothing and no one gets in the way of his orders to destroy humankind. Only the longer Pestilence spends beside Sarah's bravery and compassion, the more he seems to understand her and humanity. And the longer Sarah travels with Pestilence and his plague, the more uncertain she grows about his true feelings towards her and hers towards him. So I gave this book 4 stars. 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Like, the chapters are so short, which means I literally flew through these books. I always think when the chapters are shorter in the book, it's easier to read. And even though it literally just follows their journey around the world, each town that Pestilence goes to destroy. By the way, Pestilence is his kind of what they call, what he brings to humanity is illnesses, if that makes sense. Yeah, even though it kind of literally just follows their journey around the world, I didn't get bored at all. I thought it was really good, and I found Pestilence divine yummy. So loved this. I thought it was really well written. I did actually so some of the dialogue I did find a little bit cringeworthy, but that gets better throughout the series. So I feel if you do struggle with this book, the writing of this book, still give the rest of the series a chance because it does get better. So yeah, I think this was a good start to the series and one that I really enjoyed. Then the second book in the series is War. So War is another horseman of the apocalypse. This one is a lot longer, and again another 4 stars. In my review I did say that even though I really enjoyed Pestilence, I enjoyed this one even more. like I said, the writing was a lot better, a lot less like cringe-worthy dialogue, and also a faster pace. More happens in this book than in Pestilence. I think War was written really well as well, like the Horseman War. He, as a character, was written really well. I think this could maybe have been like 50 pages shorter, but again, thoroughly enjoyed. Continues with the short chapters, and this one follows Miriam and War, and this one is set in Jerusalem. And obviously, as Pestilence follows him, like making humans really ill, and that's how he kind of kills them. This one follows War and how he brings war to the towns. And what's different about this one is that War, when he sees Miriam, he like automatically thinks that like she's meant for him. But if you read the book, you'll see more about that. It will make more sense. And then the third book in the series is Famine, and he is probably my favourite horseman. He's a lot darker than the other two. I mean, the other two are pretty dark, but Famine just, like, he just takes it up a notch. Like, yeah, he's definitely a lot darker. And again, I gave this 4 stars. I would say this is probably my favourite book in the series, and would I? He's definitely my favourite horseman, that's for sure. Yeah, like I probably actually would say this is my favourite. I think, again, even though like the premise of each book is the same, it's done in a different way, so it doesn't get like too repetitive. Also, the female in this, Anna, I just like love her. She was definitely refreshing. She can hold her own and is definitely more challenging than the other two, even though the other two are, like, I think well written females. This one again, yeah, I think because Famine's darker, this book is a little bit darker as well. And this one is more similar to Pestilence, as it kind of follows their journey from each town. This one is set, I'm pretty sure this one's set, I thought this one was set in like Brazil, if I remember correctly, I think. But yeah, again, like, they're just so fun to read and like so easy to get through. So this one was Famine. And then the final book in the series is Death, but I've got no idea where I've put like the actual physical book. It's in my house somewhere, but like I cannot find it for the life of me, so we will just tap on this one for a little bit. And I gave Death 3 stars, so it was definitely my least favourite of the series, but I think Death is my second favourite horseman. I don't know, I think with Death, he was written well as like a male character. He's also winged, and everyone loves a winged, like, dark man. I think with the book Death, I wasn't so keen on the plot. excessive amount of like sex scenes, spicy scenes. I think they were just a little bit overdone and kind of random. I sometimes think when there's like so many spicy scenes that they no longer seem spicy. I think there's like you need to get like a good balance between like just enough, and I don't know, it just seemed to be happening like all the time, like even in like the most like random situations where like it just wouldn't happen. And I do think it could have been a little bit shorter. The ending seemed a little bit rushed, but at the same time I'm also happy with how the series ended. So overall, like, a great series, one that I really enjoyed. You also get like all the horsemen together in the last book, which was nice. So yeah, I definitely recommend the series as a whole for sure. I then listened to one audiobook, which I'll just tap on this for now. I listened to one audiobook. I listened to Crossed by Emily McIntyre. I had to like think of a name then, which I have listened or read to like the whole of, what series is it? I can't remember the name of the series, but it's basically based on like fairy tales and where the villain gets the happy ending. And this one is based on The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I definitely watched when I was younger, like the Disney version, but like I could not remember anything about it, so like I had no really clue about it when I was going into reading this. They're not like retellings, they're kind of just loosely based on like the stories of them. And I think because it was one that I was like not as aware of, I had put off like reading or listening to it, but I gave this a 3-star, and I would definitely say it was like a mid to high 3-star. This was probably the best one of the series in my opinion. I thought it was well written, and I think it had depth that was well explored. I also just love like a sinful priest. Like I enjoyed that element of it, and I thought the narration was really good as well. So I think the ending was questionable. Like obviously I can't go into it because I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but the ending I was kind of just like, did that have to happen? But overall I did actually really enjoy it, and I was invested in it, and I definitely would recommend the audiobook. Basically follows Father Cade. We love a Cade. Who is like a priest, but he's like a dark priest. He has like a hidden secret. And Maya, who is like an exotic dancer, and you know her like persona is Esmeralda, her like dancing persona. And their paths like cross, and Father Cade is always trying to like fight his inner demon whilst also being like wildly like attracted and obsessed with Amaya. And Amaya is like trying to look after her disabled brother whilst also being kind of like blackmailed by this other character in the story. So yeah, I think it's fun. So that was the one and only audiobook that I listened to in October. I've actually put my Audible account on hold for a few months now, just because like, I don't know, I wasn't enjoying audiobooks as much. I always felt like been feeling kind of like stressed when listening to them and thinking like about listening to them, so I'm just having a little break. But that one was a nice, like a fun little book to have before I have this break. So yeah, I also read Horseman by Christina Henry. This was my second Christina Henry think I gave it 2 stars. Probably like it's probably like a 1.5 star. I just like it was just so messy, so complicated, boring. It is like loosely based around the story of Sleepy Hollow and the Headless Horseman, but it's based, if you've seen the film, it's based like after that. And I will just read you the back, and it says, everyone in Sleepy Hollow knows about the horseman, but no one really believes in him. Not even Ben Van Brunt's grandfather, Brombones, who was there when it was said the horseman chased the upstart grain out of town. Brom says that's just a legend, the village gossips talking. But then 30 years after those stories avenge, the village is a quiet place. 14-year-old Ben loves to play Sleepy Hollow Boys, reenacting the events Brom once lived through. But then Ben and a friend stumble across the headless body of a child in the woods near the village, and the discovery makes Ben question everything the adults in Sleepy Hollow have ever said. Could the horseman be real after all, or does something even more sinister stalk the woods? So like, I thought this was going to be a really like good read for October, like a spooky, creepy little book. But again, like, it was so boring. It was like so unbelievable and confusing. I had no like, in some parts I was just like, what is going on? Even though like not much even happened. And then the ending, I was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, how did we get to that point? Like, how did we get to that ending? How? If you've read this book, like, please tell me what you think of it, because it was just like a no from me, a no. So I don't know if I actually get on with Christina Henry's books. I might give like one more of her books a go, and then just be like, nah, I'm done with that, with her. But yeah, not a fan, not a fan. Finally, I read Fantasma, which I'll put here, by Kaylee Smith. I read this on my Kindle, which has died again, lol. But I gave this a high 4 stars, okay? I think if you like Stephanie Garber at her best, then you will like this book, because it has such a similar writing style and gives like those like magical, fantastical, cozy vibes, even though it's like based on like a dark game. Then I think you will like this book. I loved it. I think it was heavily influenced by Caraval and Kingdom of the Wicked. So again, if you like those books, then I think you will like this. And it follows Ophelia, who is a necromancer. And basically her mum dies, and she finds out that her and her sister Genevieve have been left in a lot of debt. And basically she enters this game called a Fantasma, which, if you play like the dangerous game, go through all the levels, then you get a prize or something of like your choosing. And she thinks that her sister's also gone into the game, so she like wants to find her. But when she's in there, she gets help of this like a phantom called Blackwell, and they strike a deal up. But they are also like wildly attracted to each other. So it's like if you like Stephanie Garber, but also want some adult romance within it, because there is some adult scenes which I think are really well written, and I don't think they're overdone either. But anyway, yeah, loved this. I read it really quickly, and the only thing I will say is that I think the ending was a little bit rushed. I thought the second book, which comes out next year, I thought that was also going to be about Ophelia and Blackwell. appreciated this being maybe a little bit longer towards the end, even though it was like 400 pages. But overall, like, loved it. Had like enough, it had just enough spice and just enough like dark elements that it wasn't overdone in any way. So loved that, definitely recommend. I know that it's like really popular at the moment. So yeah. So that concludes my October reading wrap up. Have you read any of these books? I definitely think, because how many books did I rate 4 stars to? Like 4 out of 7 books I gave 4 stars to, so I think that's like a pretty good